Hey, and welcome back to VFX Tutors. I'm Josh, and in this tutorial we're going to be continuing with our sort of O2 advert. So we have pretty much done all the modelling. I know there's some bits that have taken quite a long time, but what we're going to do is just do one last check over the entire model and just check if we don't need to do anything extra with it. So I hope you've enjoyed this so far. We'll just get going. Don't forget to like and subscribe, it really does help. So let's just check over this model, then the next one we'll get into UVing. Okay, so we've pretty much finished our model. We did the foot last time, but we did just roughly duplicate it over. Let's not worry about that. Because our right side, once we've UV'd it, we'll do our duplicate. So I just want to go over the model and just, I'm going to go through and just check everything. And what I'm going to do is, as I'm going through it, I'm going to double check my geometry is nice and clean, and name it properly. So what I will do so I've given that an acronym, that's Subdivided Mesh, so I know that any geo that I have with this, it's I can just CM, and I know that's subdivided. All of this will be pretty much subdivided mesh, but it's subdivided mesh. But what I'll do is just going to Shift P that out, and I'm going to delete all the history, freeze the transforms, and for now I'm just going to leave the transforms in the middle for now. I'm just going to group that, and I'm going to call this antenna underscore GRP. I'm going to hide that. And I'm just going to go through each one of these and do the same thing basically, because a lot of this has got subdivision sort of transforms on which we don't want. I'm going to actually smooth that so it has a and you don't have to do this, I just wanted to, so because there's a little difference when we bake out the textures from the low res, and we can be a bit of, it doesn't matter if it's a bit high res, we're not doing it with games. So I'm going to delete the history and censor the transforms. So hopefully, because we're working it, that's all cylindrical. So I'm just going to Shift P that out, and I'm going to go through and do all of this and just check all my geos clean and it's got no transforms and there's no strange stuff, and just bring it out. I'm going to Shift P and put it all in their own little groups. So I can put that in antenna group. Oh, and let's just Shift P on that. I know we've got some bits around the back, but we can probably delete that when we do the UVs, so don't worry about it for now. And we'll just call this head front. And I am using, I'm only using camel case, like the capital H and the capital F, so it's easier to read for me. Some places don't like that, but we're just working by ourselves, so this is purely for my own reference. But yeah, depending on where you're working, this might be different. We'll just put this under the head group. just select this, just freeze the transforms, delete the history, and center the pivot. I'm just going to hide that. So these are not necessarily whether to. Do you know what? We may as well while we're here. It's just because let's get rid of that. You don't have to do this, but for the case of just getting rid of all these triangles, it's not 100% necessary, but let's just do that to the other one. And if you know what you're doing with this, you don't have to sit and watch me follow through, but I'm hoping this should be a very quick tutorial. Because I'm just pretty much just organizing everything. And these are only going to be basically just like covers. So I'm actually going to Shift P those and delete the history. I'm gonna merge these, combine. I'm just gonna put these under the head. And let's just double check I've cut these. They're in the world object. Yeah, let's just freeze the transforms on those. And we'll make sure we call these the correct name. So we'll just put them under the head group. Let's see what we've got here. I know we've not got all this on the inside, but we don't necessarily have to do that. So I'm going to freeze the transforms, delete the history. And just push Shift P and get it, remove it. I'm just going to get this head back. And you don't have to put these prefixes on there, it's just or suffixes, sorry. Just put it under the group and can merge these together because they're not too much. And we'll just call these ears. Even though they're not really ears, but who knows. Cool. So now we got this. And what we can do is actually, we don't need any of this. What's happened here? Hey, something strange has happened. Looks like we might have accidentally beveled something. Cool. So let's just extrude this in slightly. And we can just bring it in like that. So now when it does smooth, it still keeps it. I'll just do the same here. Don't necessarily have to do this, but it keeps it nice and tidy. And we'll freeze the transforms, delete all the history, center the pivot, Shift P, and we'll call this neck. Spelling is correct. Cool. Now we've got this bit, which is kind of our shoulders, I guess. Let's smooth that as well. Just so, because when we're doing, because we're going to do our textures in a Substance Painter, it just makes it a little bit easier for baking the textures that is on a bit of a smoother mesh. But I'm going to Shift P and just call this torso top. SDM. Just group that. Torso GRP for group. Cool. And this is made up of multiple parts, so we'll start, because I've initially grouped that all under there, and this is separate, and that's separate, so we'll just do it at the lowest point of the hierarchy. So I'm just going to Shift P. I'm just going to mesh smooth that as well. I don't know, it's might be a bit over the top doing it for every single one, but you don't have to, but I'd prefer to do it if we can. And we'll just call this torso button, I guess. Shift P that out. This is already a good subdivision already, so just freeze transforms. We'll just call this torso door. SDM. Shift P that out. History, we're all looking good. We'll just call this torso main SDM. And this is actually going to be part of we will duplicate that because there's no point us renaming this as of yet, because we're gonna basically all this is going to be duplicated anyway, so there's no need for us to do the right side of the body, so we're just going to do the left side. We're going to smooth this so it gives it a better subdivision. Torso rim. I'm not sure what to call that, but I'll know there's not we haven't got loads of stuff in here, so cool. And we'll start with calling this our right arm. And we want to be careful that we don't break the translations on this, so if we freeze it, and because we've still got it relatively correct, it should reset everything correctly. And you don't want to center it, otherwise you now break the transform. So I'm going to Shift P that out. And I guess this is called shoulder. We'll call it shoulder joint. SDM. We'll just, for now, we'll call this, all right, GRP. Let's hide that. Let's Shift P this out. Let's just remove that. And we'll call this shoulder. We'll call it shoulder joint. We'll call this shoulder clavicle. Even though it's not really, but it's kind of close-ish to it. And we don't want to change any of the rotations on it, so it should be good. Let's Shift P this out. So we're going to call this elbow joint upper. SDM. Elbow joint lower. Do this tree, and this I guess would be called wrist. Let's call it wrist joint. So we've now got these two bits. And we probably could, when we come to UV, we'll maybe separate this. And so let's Shift P all that out. And let's do this tree. Let's merge it all together. Why not? Mesh combine. Call this right, and SDM. And we'll probably actually break that apart when we want to UV it, because we don't want to UV it because this is duplicate, but I just don't want to delete it. There's no point really deleting it as of yet. And probably will be the same with these. So I'm just going to select all of these, and I'll probably rename these when I UV them, because I'm going to have to, unless I UV them all separately, which is a massive waste of time, I'm just going to delete the history freeze transforms and Control G, and I'm just going to call these fingers GRP. And that can go under the right arm. If I just call this fingers temp, because I know it's only going to be temporary. Don't worry about that side, because we're going to do that another time. So I'm just going to go freeze. We don't want to, probably don't want a huge amount of maybe let's see if we can, let's see what it looks like if we smooth that. Let's leave that as that is for, no, let's smooth it. Which means when we When we rig it, we just have to be a little bit careful with our skinning. But we might do it with a deformer. Shift P. Let's get rid of that group that, and we'll call this waste. GRP. Not as in waste, as in waste. We'll just call it that. And we'll probably also do the same for this. Shift P. Because that is just a duplicate, we will GRP. And yeah, you know what we're going to do here, which is just go through the whole thing. There are some extra little modeling things that we will do on this, so I'm not too keen on these shin things, so we'll have a look at those as well. I guess this is called a hip joint. Let's mesh these together. And I guess we'll call this thigh joint or femur, I guess. Call this right leg GRP, and this is not something that this is just so we can get everything nice and tidy. Just hide that. Let's just Shift P that out. Done it. Yeah, that should be fine. We'll delete all that. And this is a knee joint. And let's just go through and do this. We should do this shin cover. And this is the ankle joint. And we will need to, when we come to UV, we'll make it, in fact, we'll do another one, make another one of these now, because we need to, basically. So let's freeze the transforms on that. Basically, we know that this is an absolute mess, but because there's nothing on here, we can get rid of that side. It should be a lot easier to do this one. We just remove all these extra bits that caused a massive pain last time. Just check with the flow vertices behind. We've got a face here. And let's just fill the hole because it's just easier to do it this way. Let's go to multi-cut. We need to remove that. Just making a clean version for the other foot. And we'll just put a supporting edge in here just for good measure. Then if you want, we could probably just, you can do that again, or you can just duplicate the mesh. Mesh display, reverse, snap that down there. Why is that not fitting? Let's just mesh, combine. Hopefully these should be close enough to join if we do a merge. Let's just check it's not merged anywhere else. That's probably why it seems to have broken something out. As usual, something simple is turned into a mess. Now we just have our flat basic one. We can keep that off to the side for now. Let's not worry about that. That's foot. So that's left foot sole SDM. We can just keep that to the side for now. This doesn't matter. So Shift P. We'll just call this foot. we'll probably... I don't really like how... I know I rushed it last time. I don't really like how I just bodged that together. So let's see if we can... I'm going to keep this separate. Let's Shift P that out. Control C. Right. I'm just going to call this group. Sorry. Right. Foot. GRP. Just going to hide that. Cool. And I don't really, so we're going to do some extra things that like, we're going to make this all one piece. Just because I want it all one piece. No other reason. Oh, so look what I've got here, and in fact, let's not bother. Let's not worry about it. It should be fine. If you want to make it all one piece, you can. What I am probably going to do is just going to mesh, smooth that. Just going to check none of this is actually protruding anywhere. Don't really want it poking out there. I think that should be fine. I'm just going to combine these. Mesh, combine. To the history. Just going to call this right foot. Cool, so where's my right leg? I'm going to keep that. Let's just hide all that for now. I don't really like how this is working together. If I look at my reference, I can see it's a bit more... I've not really got this shape here. I've kind of made it into a bit of a very weird point. So I am just going to take another look at this. And we will definitely be done after that. So I kind of want this to still actually create this shape. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to kind of delete one half. Ooh. To try and achieve this shape in one side. So I'm going to go to my side. I've gone to the wrong side, but it should be fine. So it kind of goes over. And it might just be the position where his foot is, but it kind of definitely doesn't do what I've currently got. So what I do want to do is going to be, I'm going to try and pull this around my soft selection. So this kind of, it doesn't go under, it goes, let's get this up and close to there. It kind of goes around. I know it's a bit of an extreme, but we're just kind of yanking it around for now. Just make this edge a little bit sharper. Definitely not as round on the top, so... Well, it's rounder on the top, should I say, actually. You got to be careful when you're doing this so you don't add some nasty lumps and bumps into it, but seem to have pulled this massively off. I'm also going to delete that because I don't really like what's going on in here. Or figure that out afterwards. How are we looking now? It's kind of not got what we want, so let's see if we can relax this up here. So you want that. And just play around with this really. So because I'm just trying to be a bit particular with it. So if I Control D, that's what I'm not going to spend a huge amount of time on because I know we've already spent loads of time on it. Before I do that, I will actually make sure the pivot point is in the center. In fact, it's right, let's get this done quickly. Cool. Squared off, that's probably why. Control D and -1. Now if I mesh these together, mesh and merge, that should all merge nicely. So let's have a look at what's going on here. So I still think we're not quite, I don't feel like I'm quite getting that shape yet. Oh no, I want the middle bit, not that bit. Bring this, try and make this sort of curved around. Quite a tricky shape. Well, it's not It's not a massively tricky shape, but if you've not done a huge amount of organic modeling before, it can be quite annoying. I know we're kind of doing some bad stuff here by manually. What we can actually do is let's add let's delete the history on that and add a deformer on it. Let's add a lattice. And I promise that will be done soon. So I'm just going to add a 5x4. So now I can check my lattice point. No, I want to add a 4x4. So now I've got a bit more control here. And without like manipulating the whole geo, I can sort of get a nicer shape that I want. You can mirror this, but it's probably easier just to select both and do the same time. We're almost getting a nice shape now. Don't forget when you do this, it does actually do it through the entire sort of volume of that shape as well. So I think we're pretty good here. Quite happy with that. Maybe even, no, I think that's pretty good. So I'm just going to delete the history of that. And I'm actually going to smooth this as well. No, I'm not. I'm going to make sure that I fix these edges in here first. So I'm just going to extrude these up, sort of, not necessarily scale them, but just hide them in. Like, because I don't need geometry on the inside. It really does depend on how you're planning on modeling this. I'm just looking to hide those bits. I'm hoping that we don't really see in there. Cool. It just makes it a bit easier for, in fact, let's have a look. Let's not do that. It's a bit of a mess. Maybe we can just bridge it. That's also not a favorable thing. What I will do is just I think we can leave it as you can go into way more detail if you want. I'm not particularly that fussed. I'm going to pull this down actually. I'm just going to mesh. Smooth that. Cool. So I think we could definitely go. Still not happy with it, but the thing is, I just want to get it done now. You can spend more time doing it. It's more to show you what you can do. I'm just going to go to my sculpting and relax all of this as well, so it's just a bit rounder. And once it's textured, it will look a little bit different. You won't see a lot of the sort of things that you once thought you saw. Cool. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. So, well, I'm not happy with it. I want to spend more time, but cool. So if we now unhide all these, let's group this, and we'll just call this Google GRP. And now we've named all that, I'm actually going to save it. And I've saved everything. I am now going to delete everything that I don't need. Clean out my scene. I can't remember why I've got that. I'm sure there's a reason why I've got the shoulder reference there. So yeah, now we've sort of cleaned it out. We've got everything named nicely. We don't have any transforms on anything. Got that extra one. And basically we're going to start UVing it now. I know it took 50 minutes for me to clean this up, but it's how long it would take, really. If we went through and we tidied up everything, got it nice and clean. Let's have a look in our, let's select everything here. Just remove all the transforms. So, and we've got all these layer nodes here. So let's just check we got font. Most of this is just stuff that's left over from what we've done here, so we can hide those DAG objects. But yeah, so we're pretty much done with cleaning this up. So now the next one we will actually be UVing it. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I know it was quite a long one just on cleaning up, but this sort of stuff is actually really important that you do it, because if you got to pass it on to a rigger or a texture artist or anyone, and it's just named like Polymesh 5,000,001, they're gonna just throw it back at you. But yeah, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button, and we'll see you in the next one where we'll start UVing. Thanks for watching.